Hello everybody, my name's Ryan and I'm a driving instructor. Today I want to talk about, is the DVSA failing? The question today is the DVSA failing? Haven't I done this video before? I think I have, and I have. It's a follow-up to that video. That was my first video that I ever posted actually. Now then, I want to talk about an email I've received. Everybody in approved driving instructors have received this email, are aware of this, but I want to let everybody else know about it. And this email that was sent out is basically them admitting there is a problem in the booking service. So this email says, to help tackle high driving test waiting times, the DVSA is making 150,000 additional test appointments available over the next 6 months. This is available supplying more training staff to carry out driving tests full-time up to the 31st of March 2024. Isn't that what I said though? Isn't it that I said there was a problem with booking tests, so why not appoint more people? Yeah, I think it was. Most people who are trained to do driving tests are driving examiners. However, some staff who are trained have been moved on to other roles in the agency, including local driving test managers, operational managers, policy experts, and I guess like people who do other types of tests. Up until now, these individuals have been testing in additional to their usual job. This hasn't been 100% all the time, by the way. This has been happening on a random basis. They haven't always done this. They've been covering for sick, actually. We are now asking these people to do driving tests full time, which means they are unable to do their usual roles. Hang on a sec. So does that mean that nobody's going to do their job? And what happens when they're not doing their own job? Is there something fundamentally wrong with that then, if they're not doing their own job? The email continues. We will do all we can to limit the effect this has on other services that we offer. Now, the other services that they do offer are things like bike tests and bus and truck tests. I'm guessing they're not going to change. They're going to continue. I think it'd be a bit foolish to stop them. Obviously, they stopped all the trailer training. So, yeah, I guess they're free in other ways. Is this really going to cure the backlog? Probably not. The email goes on about being ready for your driving test, and absolutely you should be feeling that you're ready for your driving test, that you are ready to pass. There's no doubt about that. You should absolutely feel that you're quite capable of being ready for your driving test. You shouldn't think, oh well, I can always do the next one, because that doesn't work. You've got to be ready then and there and be ready for your test. You should be. They're going to release these Monday the 2nd of October, this coming Monday. We will start to add extra appointments to the booking service. This will cover test appointments for the 6th of October to the 3rd of November. That means literally that driving instructors are going to be so busy they won't know where they are, and the diaries are already rammed. So yeah, good luck to that. They will then progressively add these all the way through until March next year, repeating this every 2 weeks. And they will continue to do this. We will continue to do this until the 31st of March 2024, making the most of those additional tests. I don't think they needed to reiterate that about when they're going to do it. They didn't need to. All it will do is just maybe potentially reduce that overall backlog, which I pointed out in the first place needed to happen. Perhaps this is the way that they can reduce that backlog. Is it going to work for some of the smaller centres where they don't really have much people who work in those test centres, other than a cleaner and a centre manager, and the centre manager probably works remotely? Say, for example, with Blythe and Alnwick, and they don't have permanent driving test centre managers. They're all run out of one unit, which is probably Gosforth, or they use Gateshead or something. They use that as their main base of operations and run everybody out of there. I don't know if 100% if there is enough people to cover all of it. But it goes on. ADI, approved driving instructor testing and standard checks will be affected. We will significantly reduce the number of standard checks, and we will continue to offer ADI Part 2 and Part 3 tests. This is to become a driving instructor. If we need to cancel or rearrange a standard check, we will contact you. I'm sure they will. We will continue to monitor driving test performance while prioritising car driving tests. I think technically the performance might go down a little bit because people are suddenly aware that they can do these driving tests and potentially not be ready. I wanted to get across originally in my video that what we wanted was to increase the number of tests, but not necessarily to then kill the pass rate. It was about being constructive in the way that we could reduce the waiting times. So the waiting times were probably down to maybe about 4 to 6 weeks. Now Gosforth has sort of weirdly achieved this recently, and then all of a sudden they haven't. But Blythe is still December or January. My pupils still tell me that they're trying to book tests and they're getting January. So yeah, it doesn't obviously work in certain areas. I wonder if they're going to offer more tests in Blythe and Alnwick. I doubt it. I doubt they got that down to 4 weeks. As well as reducing all that, you've got to remember that, is it really encouraging training? Well, when we think about it, most ADIs use this book, Guide to Driving. This is the new version of it, and there's some stuff that's kind of still missing out of it. For example, the procedure going into roundabout, which I just read to one of my pupils a little bit earlier. Going left, indicate left as you approach. Book, what happened to about using your mirrors? So there's still some errors in this book. It still doesn't tell you about keeping your wheel straight, turning right and things like that. It doesn't tell you about certain elements, and everybody uses that as a guide, as a training material. While I was in Blythe and Tabby was passing her driving test, there was another instructor in there, and he was really switched on, really keen about his job, and he was mentioning that he thought there should be a bit more training, there should be a bit more effort for the DVSA to impress upon it. When last time he did his standards checks, about 8 years ago, because he couldn't redo it, because he got like sort of June 2020, then got November 2020, then February 2021. He kept getting it delayed and delayed and delayed, and he said he hadn't had a standards check for 8 years. He didn't know what was included in the new standard check. He did it all on the old system, the point system, where you did, if you got a 1, you were back 1 year later. If you got a 5, then you didn't do one for 5 years. Maybe that's the system that they need to go back to. Maybe they do need to go back to that system, but offer this extended or better training. Maybe they need to do this training element. Trying to reduce the backlog, why not then think of the next problem? How do you keep the approved driving instructors passes high? It is literally impossible. You take somebody to a test that you felt that they were absolutely ready to pass that driving test, that they were driver ready, they were test ready, or they were beyond that and they could drive the car, then you thought they would pass and they don't, and they get a couple of serious or a couple of dangerous, and you're thinking, well, no, they were definitely ready before, and I've done all those mock tests and I've done everything I possibly can to get them to pass, but there must be something in the training. The guy in the test centre said that he hadn't done any training since he first became a driving instructor 11 years ago. He was pretty switched on. He was an ex-police officer, traffic officer, and he knew how it works. He knows how to drive. He knows all the training elements. He's probably trained for driving to the nth degree. Would probably understand all of that. But how many people have really slipped through the net on the standards check and just waited and waited and waited with no training whatsoever, and have relied on the book? The book isn't quite good enough. The book doesn't have all the details in it. The book isn't 100%. Yeah, it's useful to pass your theory and useful for driving, and other people can then read it and go, yeah, I kind of know how all of this fits together for me. But is it going to make you pass a driving test? Probably not. It's all to do with confidence and ability and belief. Adding tests, is it the answer? Well, it's got to be, hasn't it? Isn't that the point of my ranty video originally? Maybe adding tests is going to help this out no end. Maybe it could be ending up as a decrease in the pass rate. Don't really want to decrease the pass rate. We just want more consistency. We want more people ready for a driving test. And ultimately, we want some sort of training. The guy in the test centre, because he didn't really know what this standards check thing was about, I suggested he might go with an audit trainer, and they can then help him out and explain what this test is, because he hasn't got a clue. It's not his fault though. Maybe we do need to do some training though. So the first bit of my ranty video, has the DVS failed? Potentially they have, and they've admitted to that fail. Do they need to do more? Absolutely, of course they do. They need to do lots more. Well, if you like what you've seen, why not comment? Why not add a comment? Why not add to my debate about this? How do you feel about them adding more tests? I bet you're a bit frustrated if you passed 6 or 8 months ago and couldn't get a test for 6 months. I bet you're frustrated. I bet you're a bit angry about it, really. If you like what you see, though, if you like what we're on about, if you like the route videos, if you like the bad driving videos, if you like me ranting about somebody cutting a corner, I was absolutely right on that. Well, why not like, subscribe, follow, check out everything that we do, TikTok, yeah, why not? If you've enjoyed the video, thanks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye. Including dogs barking.